You ever feel like there's this weird gap that lives inside you? You have these big goals, these things you genuinely want to do, but then you look at your day-to-day actions and they just don't match up. It's this super frustrating disconnect, right? It's like you're just a passenger watching yourself do the exact opposite of what you really want.
And have you ever noticed this? You can fall into a rabbit hole on your phone for, I don't know, hours, completely zoned in, like time just disappears. But then, when you turn to that important project or that workout you swore you'd do, poof, your focus is just gone. It shatters in like 10 minutes. So what's going on? Why is one so ridiculously easy and the other feels impossible?
Well, here's the truth, and I really want you to hear this. You're not lazy. This is not some character flaw or a lack of willpower. Your brain is actually being hijacked by the world we live in. It's doing what it's designed to do, just in an environment it was never designed for. So the real question becomes, how do we take back the controls? How do we rewire our brains to start working for us again instead of against us? Let's get into it. Okay, so to understand this motivation paradox, we have to talk about one specific, incredibly powerful chemical that's basically running the whole show from behind the scenes.
Now, we've all heard of dopamine. Most people call it the pleasure molecule, but it turns out that's not quite right. Modern neuroscience has shown us it's actually the wanting molecule. It's the chemical of desire and anticipation. It's that feeling you get before you get a reward, that little spark that says, ooh, I want that. And it's what literally drives you to get up and do something. It's the engine of motivation.
So just how powerful is this wanting system? Well, in one pretty famous and kind of scary experiment, scientists gave rats a little hit of dopamine every time they pressed a lever. The craving, that wanting, became so intense that the rats would just stand there and press the lever for hours and hours, completely ignoring food, water, and even sleep, until they literally collapsed from exhaustion. That's the raw, primal power we're dealing with here.
And this, right here, this is the central conflict of modern life. On one side, you've got all the easy dopamine, the endless scrolling, the junk food, the binge watching. It's all designed for instant, high reward. And on the other side, you have effortful dopamine, finishing a big project, a tough workout, reading a book. The reward is delayed, you have to earn it. Our brains are wired to find the path of least resistance. So guess which side they're naturally pulled toward?
But here's the thing, living in a world overflowing with easy dopamine, it comes with a hidden cost. It sets up this trap that, little by little, just erodes our ability to find joy in anything that actually matters. You know, your body is an absolute master of balance. It's this principle called homeostasis. When you get cold, what happens? You shiver to warm up. When you get hot, you sweat to cool down. It's always trying to get back to a stable baseline. Well, your brain does the exact same thing with its own chemistry. So when your brain is constantly getting flooded with these huge, easy dopamine hits, it basically freaks out. It says, whoa, this is way too much stimulation. And to protect itself, it starts to shut down some of its dopamine receptors. It's a process called downregulation. It's kind of like your brain is literally turning down the volume knob on satisfaction, just to keep things stable. And the result? You end up needing more and more stimulation just to feel, well, normal.
And this is so crucial to understand. The next time a book feels boring or a workout seems like torture, it's not because you've lost your discipline. You are experiencing a predictable biological tolerance effect. Your brain's baseline for what feels rewarding has been artificially jacked up so high that normal, healthy, productive things just can't compete. They feel dull by comparison.
But here is the beautiful thing about our brains. They can change. What's been wired can be rewired. This next part isn't about punishing yourself. It's about giving your brain the space it needs to heal and recalibrate back to its natural state. The solution is something called a dopamine reset or a dopamine detox. Now, the goal isn't to get rid of dopamine. You can't. It's essential for life. The goal is to just step away from all the artificial high-stimulation sources for a little while. This gives your brain's receptors a chance to recover, to heal, and to grow back. It allows your brain to become sensitive to rewards again. Here's the perfect way to think about it. If you ate at a 5-star restaurant for every single meal, a simple bowl of plain rice would taste incredibly bland, right? But if you haven't eaten all day, that same bowl of plain rice is one of the most delicious things you've ever tasted. That's exactly what a dopamine reset does. It resets your palate for life. So how do you actually do this? It's pretty straightforward. First, just identify your cheap dopamine fixes. Your phone, junk food, whatever they are for you. Second, for just one day, try to remove them. All of them. Third, and yeah, this is the hardest part, you have to embrace being bored. Go for a walk without music, meditate, just sit with your thoughts. It's going to feel restless and uncomfortable at first, and that's actually a sign that it's working. And finally, just notice. Pay attention. By the end of the day, you'll be amazed at how your brain starts to find simple, quiet things rewarding again.
All right, so once your brain is more sensitive again, you can start to use that new sensitivity to your advantage. This is where we get into the practical, everyday strategies to make those hard things feel, well, a little bit easier.
This one is a total game changer. Think about how we usually take breaks from work. We scroll social media, right? Which is way more stimulating than our actual work. That makes going back to work feel like a punishment. So try this instead. Take boring breaks. Seriously, just stare at a wall for 5 minutes. Do nothing. Your brain will get so starved for stimulation that it will actually start to crave getting back to your work, just to have something to do.
We all know the hardest part is just starting. Your brain sees a huge project and it just panics. So you have to outsmart it. Don't tell yourself you have to write the whole report. Just commit to opening the document and writing 1 sentence. That's it, just 2 minutes. That initial push is the biggest hurdle. Once you get going, momentum often takes over. You can still use those high dopamine activities, but you have to be strategic. The key is to make them the reward for doing the hard work, not the escape from it. So you do the work first, then you scroll Instagram. This simple switch teaches your brain to associate the effort with the eventual reward, which makes the habit stick.
But, the real endgame here is to get to a place where you don't even need those external rewards. It's about building intrinsic motivation, where the work itself is the reward. This comes from things like nurturing your curiosity, that itch to learn, from pursuing the mastery of a skill, from having the autonomy and freedom to make your own choices, and feeling connected to a sense of purpose, and finally, from what psychologists call autotelicity, which is just a fancy word for loving the activity for its own sake. This is where effort becomes joy.
And this changes everything. We think of discipline as this brutal thing, like we have to white-knuckle our way through life. But true, sustainable discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about gently and systematically retraining your brain's reward system until it starts to find satisfaction and maybe even love in the effort itself.
Right now, it might feel like your brain is your enemy, constantly pulling you towards distraction. But when you understand how it works, you can start to take your power back. Real freedom isn't having a million choices of what to watch or scroll through. Real freedom is having a brain that is on your team, a brain that works for you and your deepest intentions.
At the end of the day, dopamine is going to motivate you to do something. It's a force of nature, but you have the power to steer it. You can let it pull you toward things that leave you feeling empty, or you can retrain your brain to find its satisfaction in the effort, the growth, and the things that build a life you're truly proud of. The choice really is yours. So, what will you choose to find satisfying?